One of the best trends on the internet right now, in my opinion, has to be the no buy year. I failed mine. I want to talk about how I failed my no buy year, why I failed my no buy year, and what I learned from failing my no buy year, and how I'm actually bringing it back. I made a promise to myself. I was going to go become a minimalist. I was going to clear all of my debt, which I have since, but not because I didn't do a no buy year. And that I was doing like a lifestyle reset. I wanted to completely redo my life. I really thought that if I stopped shopping, it was going to be a one stop shop for fixing all of my problems. And it led to a much bigger problem. I experienced a few things: deep anxiety about spending money, a deep amount of guilt whenever I did need to buy something, and a deep overcorrection. I would describe it as like being on a very extreme diet and then eating a whole sleeve of Oreos, except for those Oreos were thousands of dollars worth of clothes and furniture. I really thought that if I were to give up everything, if I were to just give up shopping and consumerism, everything would be fine. I would be a new person. I'd be a minimalist. I'd be super chic. My house would be completely beige. I would be basically Natasha from Sex and the City. And I became a hyper anxious woman who did not know how to function and who had deep anxiety whenever I got invited to a birthday thing. And the reason why I really struggled there is because, one, I was depriving myself for no reason, and deprivation is never really good. Deprivation without any form of big picture or any deep reasoning is just punishment. I felt like I had to do this as a punishment for spending too much money that I probably shouldn't have spent. This is also in response to me spending significantly more on a European vacation than I really thought that I deserved. So I ended up spending a ton of money on something that did not serve me long term, and then overcorrecting and then doing it again. And I also had this feeling that the holidays add to that. Like around the holidays, you have a month and a half between Thanksgiving and New Year's where it's nothing but alcohol, getting together with your friends, drinking a lot, buying a bunch of presents. It's just a season of overconsumption. And then you hit January and then New Year's resolution comes around. And you're like, oh crap, I got to get my life together. And I just did it because I wanted to punish myself, not because I wanted to do something. I was working against myself instead of working for something, which is why I think if you were to do this, you need a clear why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to fix any impulse spending? Why do you want to not go out to dinner anymore? You have to have a why. The why is really key into having a successful anything. I was proud of myself for depriving myself and for making myself feel bad. And then there were days that I'd be starving on my way into work, or I really wanted a latte, and then I would stop at a local cafe, and then I would feel bad for a week and a half. Those small things that kind of make life a little bit more worth living were the reason why I was suddenly feeling really bad about myself. And then it led to this ADHD paralysis shame spiral that happens to me all the time, where I'm like, if I can't even stick to this, what can I stick with? And it had this huge emotional undercurrent where I just felt so bad about myself. I felt so insecure about my own spending habits of buying something that brought me legitimate joy. And I felt terrible. And I really actually was a little envious and a little insecure in comparison to my friends who were elevating their lives while I was drinking water out of a pasta jar because my favorite cup went missing. And then I felt this reaction of feeling like I wanted to keep up with certain friends of mine who admittedly are older than me and have richer husbands. And I internalized buying with catching up, which was a problem that I didn't realize that I had until I overcorrected from my no buy fail. But the thing, I was trying to fix something that I didn't understand. I realized that I was trying to fix something that would not be solved with the no buy year. It had to be solved with looking inside, from answering the call in the house, which was buying myself clothes, buying myself fun treats, was stress management, not indulgence, and that I didn't have the tools I needed to succeed, which was a lot of emotional security and intelligence that I didn't have at the prime age of 27. And this is where I learned a lot about myself, where I couldn't figure out why I overcorrected with my no buy year. And I learned a few things. If you tell me that I can't do something, I will overcorrect and do it more. When you tell me I can't do something, I will do the opposite. If you put a restriction on me, I will rebel against it. It's like this inherent thing. And apparently it's a very common thing with women with ADHD, where they do not like being told no. They like proving people wrong, and they are really rebellious. We have this thing where we're not really good at taking instruction. We want to do the opposite of it. And that's something that I can curb in my professional life, but not my personal life. And there'd be like tiny things. And then I realized that shopping was a way for me to feel better on a bad day. I'd be like, I had a hard week. I should treat myself. And This also applies to like skinny talk right now, where they say that you do not reward yourself with food. You are not a dog. Girl, if you want a cupcake to celebrate something, get a goddamn cake. And I was trying to fix something that I wasn't able to identify. Like now I could say, oh, I want to fix my sloppiness habit. I've been able to name it. I now know what steps to take. I was trying to fix something, but I didn't really know what. And that was an insecurity that I had that made me feel like I needed to spend more money and be more successful and look a certain way. And in all, it just led me to believe I care about status a lot and I needed to fix that. And I wasn't. And I feel like that's a common feeling in your 20s. Like, I feel like basically your entire 20s is feeling like you're behind. And now that I'm in my 30s, I couldn't give a crap what other people are doing with their careers. So since I've overdone it, I have learned a few things about my money spending habits and just money and shopping in general. Number one is that budgeting needs to come with emotional security and safety. Like, I have a partner now who makes me feel so safe and secure. And when I came forward, I was like, I want to pay off my credit cards. It's going to take me a few months. I need help. I was very lucky that he was like, okay, pay me less in rent, let's tackle it together, and then let's live a healthy, happy life. And the amount of support that I received from a partner made a huge amount of difference. Ramit Sethi's book is actually really helpful in this, but he talks about how people on the podcast are more likely to talk about their sex lives than they are about their finances. Now I am really prone to talking about both very openly, but I'm very comfortable talking about my finances, and I had to learn a lot of emotional safety and security and reach out for support. And I'm very fortunate and lucky to be in a place where I have that. Another thing that I learned is that I needed to find habits that work for me, not restrictions. I ended up replacing my habit of buying things whenever I was excited about something to celebrating with my friends, to saying, let's go get a bottle of champagne or honestly sparkling wine, come over and let's go make dinner and watch a movie. And that was infinitely more rewarding than buying a $400 dress I wanted. And that is where I've learned to switch my mindset of being obsessed with shopping to being obsessed with community. I talk about community a lot, but it helps to have people who wanted to do those things with me. And that's something that takes time and effort, but it's infinitely more rewarding. The instant gratification is not as beneficial than the long-term investment and the long-term payoff of something that's really worth it for you. Another thing I learned was shopping less does not mean shopping better. If you shop less, but you're exclusively still buying fast fashion items or just doing less of the same negative thing, I had to learn how to shop better, which is a lot of how my mindful shopping series has gone, is because it's not about shopping less with the intent of saving more money. It's about relocating that money that I would have bought on a lot of things to a few things that I like a lot. Like, I stopped buying a bunch of kitchenware and I bought a bunch of kitchen investments of like plates and placemats that I'm obsessed with, that I'm excited about, that have been around for months and they still have this new appeal to me that make me excited to stay at home. And buying that in comparison and spending a little bit more on that versus buying a bunch of stuff from TJ Maxx, replacing that habit has made me shop better. It has made things a lot more rewarding for me. And I had to learn how to shop better and shop less frequently, which has been significantly more rewarding for me. If you're going to do a low buy or no buy, number one is to add pause points for buying. I uninstall all shopping apps. I remove my credit card information from all shopping apps. I actually have to type it in, and sometimes physically typing in my card will prevent me from buying something, but also giving myself hours, let me think about it, has been great. Because when you're shopping, there's a sense of urgency. A lot of stores will do this, like, there is a temporary sale, buy now. This sense of urgency is actually going to prevent you from thriving and when you buy something. Just buy what works for you. A lot of that includes going for a walk with an audiobook with my dog, who's right here napping and snoring and I can't hear it. Going out to get a glass of wine, one glass of wine. I started making like random art in my apartment, learning how to cook things, all those things, like having a list of non-spending stress relievers besides like getting supplies for hobbies that you will actually use, has been huge in buying a bunch of things. Because when you do not have hobbies, when you do not have things to fill your life or your space, essentially going to replace that with buying clothes. Shopping is not a hobby. Carrie Bradshaw really misled all of us. Shopping cannot be your cardio. And the last tip, buy clothes slowly, but with true intention. The true intention is what's going to help you. Having intention and a vision is going to prevent you from buying things that you don't really want. Failure was the success point for me. Failing made me realize that punishing myself for no reason was not going to help me. I think Americans like to be miserable. And failure was actually really beneficial for me because it forced me to learn tools and habits that would actually put me in a better direction. Like failing brought me closer to a better version. It was also another thing that I learned from failing is that it wasn't particularly a spending problem, it was other unmet needs that I wasn't addressing. Another thing that I have learned from failure is that you are not broken if you cannot follow strict rules. You're probably just a human. I'm doing a low buy. I also have a why now, which is great because one, I have a lot of emotional security. I know exactly what my needs are. I also have a really big picture. So I'm a completely different person. I'm not just trying to punish myself. My low buy is for a few reasons. One, I want a lot more financial security. There's a lot of economic uncertainty in this place right now. Reason. Number two is I want less stuff. I've actually been slowly selling off a lot of things because I've moved spaces and I just find that having less things has made me feel a lot better. There's actual research confirming that people who own less feel a lot more at ease in spaces, and that's what I wanted for myself. Another reason why is because I wanted a full year of saved expenses. I'm a few months away from that, from my emergency fund. Look, I do not trust this tariff situation. I also want to invest more in myself and create projects where I can build something. More on that probably 2 years from now. And honestly, the last reason is because I want peace of mind in this economy because let's be real, it's not stable. And I also really want to go on a nice vacation later this year. Therefore, more money is going into that savings account versus just not buying things. Something I didn't do that I wish I did is that I want to wait 30 days before I buy anything. I also want to prioritize filling in gaps versus buying things I already own. I've talked about this a lot, but I really do believe that you should be filling gaps in your wardrobe, just not adding more of what you own. I also have a fun money. My fun money that's going to have absolutely no guilt because that is something I count for. My no buy year failed, but it gave me better clarity than it ever had before about who I was and what I needed. It's about knowing your why. It's about knowing what your needs are and being kind to yourself when you do not hit these really unrealistic expectations. I put really unrealistic expectations on myself and it's awful. It's not good for you. But I want to invite you to shop smarter, not stricter, because security really, right now, is the new luxury.